we want you to find a way of making peace with food, not just you, but all of you. And when you are in a position where you are trying to control your behavior, it's the hard way of going about it. It's much easier. It's sort of like the theme of this day as we are talking about warming up, which is to say, get into vibrational alignment first and then followed through with inspired action. There are so many things that our physical friends attempt from an action orientation where they try to monitor or alter behavior in order to get results that they want without coming into vibrational alignment first, where if you come into vibrational alignment, then you can follow through with the inspired action, and then there's not only not a feeling of deprivation, but there's not a feeling of having to manage or control your behavior. We feel some struggle in so many people who are going about the creation of so many things from an action orientation, from a physical orientation, from my action and its relationship to the outcome sort of orientation. And we are not denying, it would be silly to do so, that your behavior does affect your outcome. We are just wanting to say that if you can get ahead of the behavior and start finding balance in your vibration, that then your behavior becomes less of an issue. And it is only then that a feeling of not having to control your environment or not having to deprive yourself in terms of action that you can really come into alignment. You used some words about flipping molecules, and we want to say there are a lot of different ways of thinking about what you're doing, but the simplest way is to acknowledge that all through your life experience, you've been having relationships with food, relationships with clothes, relationships with the way you see yourself in your body, not just you, but everyone. And you've been launching all of these rockets of desires. Through the variety that you've been living, you have been identifying and making your choices about what you would like for you. And you have unconsciously and consciously been launching those rockets of desires. So there is a vibrational escrow that has been accomplished by you, by all of you, long ago, relative to the substance of your body, the vitality of your body, the health of your body, the feeling of energy of your body, the metabolism of your body. In other words, you have, without even been knowing that you're doing it, you've created this vibrational essence that is as you really are from that broader non-physical perspective. But like so many things, whether we're talking about money or health or body weight or appearance, so many of our physical friends have a vibrational escrow or a state of vibrational becoming that is different from what they are currently allowing by their current thoughts. And almost all who approach the subject of diet or of health approach it from an action orientation of what they're going to do over here in the physical realm, rather than from the perspective of, I'm wanting to get myself vibrationally up to speed. And it's the reason that we ask questions, as we did earlier. Do you know anyone who offers not much action and who receives abundantly? Or do you know anyone who works really hard and does not receive very much? And the point that we're making in all of that is that there is something way bigger, way more important in the equation of the creation of your life experience than the things you're doing. It's about your vibrational balance or alignment. And so, in the same way that we ask you, do you know people who are receiving abundantly without offering a great deal of effort, or who are not justifying the results they're getting through their behavior relative to money? Do you not know people that have perfect vibrational, perfect physical balance? In other words, they look the way they want to look, and as you observe their behavior, they have no business looking that way. In other words, it's just not fair. Look at the way they eat. Look at the way they do. And yet their outcome seems to somehow be separated. And so if you are making your outcome be tied bite by bite by bite by bite by bite with everything that you are consuming, and then you watch someone else not even paying attention to what they're eating and getting results, you've just got to accept that there's another factor that has far more to do with their outcome than what they are doing with their behavior. And that's true of every subject. It doesn't matter what the subject is. That's true of every subject. So really what we're talking about here is beginning to tell the story the way you want it to be. And the story that you told, now we really want to express this to you in a way that you can really hear it. There's nothing wrong with the story the way you're telling it. There's nothing wrong with you telling the story the way you're telling it. But if it's not the story that we would encourage everyone to tell, because there's so much more work in the telling and the believing of that story than you need to tell and believe. In other words, there is an easier way to come into alignment, and it's by bringing yourself mentally into the expectation that your body is your friend and that it knows what to do, and that you are a veritable factory, a chemical factory who knows what to do with whatever you are consuming, and that your body and its metabolic qualities will bring you into vibrational balance if your thoughts don't make it impossible to do so. So if any of you were coming to us on the first day of your experience and we were having this discussion, you would have an easier and much more comfortable way with the food that you are eating. In other words, we're surprised any of you can find anything to eat, because there is something that is seen as wrong or inappropriate with almost everything that you eat. And you know, the most significant thing is, it is really rare to see someone happily eating. Almost everyone is experiencing some sort of trauma during the process of eating. It's either not nutritious enough, or it has too much of this or not enough of that. And so you have, without meaning to, become a people who terrorize yourself over food. Eating, and the time you eat, the time you're thinking about eating, the time you're choosing where you'll eat, the time you're choosing what you're eating, and the time that you are actually eating it are the least aligned times that we see among most who are in mass consciousness. When and it doesn't have to be that way. It could be all of these chefs, all of these people and aspiring chefs who are preparing delicious foods for you to surprise and delight you. Little do they realize that they are preparing their beautiful food for the traumatized.
I have so much
And
interest
so that's what you're talking about here in this environment. Instead of it being an environment of succulent, delicious advantage, it's an environment of terrorizing you. In other words, close.
No, it's an environment in this spectrum, yes. But if I looked, I was asking for a shift in perception. If I look at it as ease and glory, and I say, food, let's enjoy it, let's have a nice meal, and let's have balance. And that's really what I was seeking by sitting with you. The balance of enjoying every moment in every way, even food, even, this audience is so beautiful, and all the women here. And I'm not saying anything bad about men, it's just that I'm looking at women, and everybody came over to me during this break and oh, I'm so glad you're, and I know the question's been asked so many times, but I just wanted to sort of I know what you mean about just aligning the food concept, allowing it just to be a nice thing and not putting so much emphasis on it.
Well, you'll know when you've accomplished that when you are enjoying your meal. Mm-hmm. In other words, if you've done the right warm-up for eating, in other words, before you put yourself before the banquets where you will eat tonight, do your vibrational warm-up. Spend at least as much time as you will spend in the eating of the meal, and by that we mean you'll actually have a less than 15 minutes all added together where you are actually putting something in your mouth, chewing it and swallowing it. In other words, it's not a very long period of time, even if you linger over a longer meal time. Usually, if you would spend the 15 minutes of coming into alignment about food before you put yourself in the place where you're actually eating the food, and you would do that consistently for about 30 days, try it and begin to watch what happens. And this is the sort of self-dialogue that we would have about it. We would say something like this: tonight I am going to be in an environment where I will have many wonderful choices relative to food. And I want to know that whatever I choose, my body will be just fine about. I like understanding that I have a body of trillions of cells who are all experts at knowing their work in my body. And I am so pleased that I don't have to have a board meeting where I instruct each one of them what they need to do while I slumber or while I walk. In other words, I'm happy that my body knows what to do. And I am consciously aware that my intelligent body is maintaining and doing a good job of keeping me in terms of physicality where I want to be. So tonight I know that I'm going to be in an environment where I will have a lot of choices, and I am looking forward to feeling the ease of the choices that are before me, understanding that there are no really wrong choices for me to make, that I have this resilient body, a body that understands everything about the content of the food that I'm going to be eating, that understands everything about converting the food that I'm going to be eating into the energy that I call my physicality. And it is pleasing to me to know that this is not something that I need to have concern about. I've got a body that knows what to do when I let it do it. So tonight I'm going to be aware and maybe different than I've been at other times when I've been eating. Each time I feel myself tensing a little bit over a choice that I might be making, I'm going to just relax and say to myself, there are no wrong choices here. There are no bad choices here. Everything that is possible here is within the comfort zone of my body in knowing what to do. I know that as I've been living life, I've created a picture of the way I want to be, most important of the way I want to feel, most important of the vitality I want to live, also important the way I look, the way I move, the way my body continues to be, the way I feel in my clothes. All of this I've been putting into vibrational escrow, and I feel confident that I've painted a picture that's complete and as I want it to be, and I feel confident that the cells of my body, who are vibrational, transmitting and receiving mechanisms, are fully aware of that image and are utterly compliant with it. So if I can resist my normal temptation to freak out over food, and instead I can replace that with an attitude of relaxing and confidence in my body's ability to manage and know what to do, then this will be, it is my plan for this evening, the most delightful and delicious meal of my life experience. I like taking myself out of the management of the cells of my body, which I've never had any control over. I don't understand metabolism. I don't know what they do. I don't understand the chemistry of my body. I've read all of those books and all of them are wrong. I don't know about that. But my body knows, and I trust my body. So these things I do know. I know that I've created a vibrational escrow, and I know that I have a body that I can trust, and I know that I'm going to be sitting before a delectable banquet with all kinds of things that are being offered to me, and I know that all is well relative to me and food. And if you would spend that much conversation with yourself 2 or 3 times a day before your meals, you would bring yourself into alignment with your food, and you'll become one of those that people will watch you and say, how in the world do you manage to live in a world of imbibing and consuming and maintaining? And you say, because I've turned it over to the aspects of my body that know what to do. I have gotten out of the way. I'm no longer trying to do things I don't understand, and in the process messing up the energy of the energy balance or alignment of my being. It should be a really good meal tonight.
It will be.